Almost everyone will say their ultimate goal in life is to be happy. We search for it in relationships, careers, achievements, and even in the things we buy. But here is an irony we rarely acknowledge. The very brain we rely on to lead us toward happiness is not actually designed for it. Your brain cares far more about safety and comfort than about long-term fulfillment. This is why someone can stay in a job they hate for years, or keep repeating habits they know are harmful. It is not that they don't want happiness, it is that their brain associates the comfort zone with safety, even if that place is boring or painful. In psychology, this connects to survival mechanisms hardwired into us since our ancestors lived in caves thousands of years ago. Back then, survival meant avoiding risk, not chasing joy. But in today's world, this ancient system traps us. We want a better life, but we're also afraid to leave what we already know. And that's where the greatest inner conflict begins, the war between security and growth. If we travel back to the prehistoric era, human life was filled with uncertainty. Threats came from predators, hunger, extreme weather, and rival tribes fighting over resources. In that environment, the brain evolved to prioritize survival over happiness. Structures like the amygdala worked like an alarm system, detecting danger in an instant, while the dopamine system motivated us to seek things that provided safety: food, shelter, social bonds. When we found those things, the brain rewarded us with feelings of comfort so that we would repeat the behavior. This is where our risk avoidance instinct was born. The problem is, the modern world is completely different. There's no lion waiting outside your house, but your brain still operates under the same ancient logic. Facing a presentation at work, starting a business, or moving to a new city feels just as threatening as a physical danger. And so, without realizing it, we choose the soft couch, endless social media scrolling, and familiar routines, because the brain believes that's the best way to stay alive. The comfort zone often feels like a place of certainty. We know what will happen, when it will happen, and how to handle it. The brain loves predictability because it means low risk. But there's a heavy price we pay life becomes stagnant. Imagine a bird with wings, but it chooses to stay in a cage because inside the cage, no predator can attack it. Yes, the bird is safe, but it also loses the chance to experience the freedom of flight. In our own lives, that cage is the routine we cling to, even if it prevents us from reaching our potential. We often justify it by saying, "I'm comfortable here." But in psychology, this is called the status quo bias, the tendency to stick with the current state, even when better options exist. The longer we stay in the comfort zone, the harder it becomes to leave. The brain will keep associating change with danger and comfort with safety. Eventually, we stop living to grow and start living just to endure. Dopamine is often misunderstood as the happiness chemical. In reality, dopamine is more like motivation fuel. It drives you to seek out things that bring comfort or satisfy curiosity. The problem is, in today's world, we have instant access to cheap and fast dopamine sources: social media, junk food, entertainment, gossip. Every time we get dopamine from these instant sources, the brain labels that behavior as safe and rewarding. As a result, we enter a loop. We seek comfort, receive dopamine, and repeat the behavior. This is the comfort loop. Just like a lab animal that keeps pressing a lever to get food, we keep pressing our own comfort buttons, even when they slow down our growth. The irony is, the more we choose instant comfort, the duller our ability becomes to enjoy the deeper satisfaction that comes from effort and hard work. This is why many people feel empty, even though their lives are filled with constant entertainment. Here's the paradox. Everything you truly want in life: confidence, purpose, success, deep relationships, lives outside your comfort zone. But stepping out of that zone triggers your brain's threat response. This is because growth often requires uncertainty, discomfort, and failure, three things your survival-focused brain is wired to avoid. When you start something new, whether it's a skill, a habit, or a life change, your brain interprets the unfamiliar as a potential threat. It doesn't care that you're restarting a workout routine or learning a new language. It just sees change and responds with resistance. This is why procrastination, overthinking, and fear show up whenever you try to do something meaningful. In Stoic philosophy, this resistance is a given life will present obstacles, and your task is not to remove them, but to act despite them. Modern psychology confirms this. The stress you feel when stepping into the unknown, ISN, T a signal to stop, is a sign that you're in the exact place where growth happens. The problem is, most people misinterpret that discomfort as a warning, when in reality, it's an invitation. Your brain is like a gambler that always bets on the short term. It wants to minimize discomfort now, even if it costs you happiness later. This is called temporal discounting, the tendency to prefer small, immediate rewards over larger, delayed ones. It's why eating junk food feels more appealing than cooking a healthy meal, why binge watching feels better than building a business, and why scrolling feels easier than reading. The brain simply values now more than later. But here's the truth. Almost everything worth having in life, health, wealth, mastery, comes from consistent effort over time, not instant gratification. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that discipline is freedom, because when you control your impulses today, you free yourself from regret tomorrow. Modern neuroscience agrees. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning and decision-making, can override the impulse-driven parts of the brain, but only if you train it. Without that training, you'll always choose comfort today and sacrifice happiness tomorrow. The good news is, you're not stuck with this default wiring forever. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, means you can train yourself to tolerate discomfort and even associate it with progress. One method is progressive exposure, deliberately and gradually introducing small doses of discomfort into your life. This could be waking up earlier, taking cold showers, starting a conversation with a stranger, or working on a difficult task without distraction. Over time, your brain learns that discomfort does not equal danger. In fact, it starts linking discomfort with growth. This is exactly what the Stoics practiced. They deliberately faced voluntary discomfort to strengthen their resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote about preparing for hardship each morning so that when it came, it felt familiar, not frightening. The key is consistency. Every time you choose the slightly harder path, you're training your brain to stop craving the easy one. Slowly, the comfort bias weakens and your range of action expands. One of the biggest shifts you can make is to redefine what happiness means. If you think happiness is the constant feeling of pleasure, you'll chase comfort forever and never find it. But if you see happiness as a deep sense of fulfillment, purpose, and alignment with your values, then discomfort becomes part of the process, not an obstacle to avoid. Modern psychology distinguishes between hedonic happiness, pleasure and comfort, and eudaimonic happiness, meaning, and purpose. The latter is more sustainable, but it often requires sacrifice and delayed gratification. The Stoics argued that the highest form of happiness is living in accordance with virtue, being courageous, disciplined, and wise, regardless of circumstances. This is not the dopamine high of a quick win. It's the steady fire of a life well lived. When you shift your focus from chasing moments of comfort to building a meaningful existence, you break free from your brain's primitive programming and step into a higher level of living. The truth is, comfort will always be tempting. Your brain will whisper that you can try tomorrow, that it's safer to wait, that you should stay where you are. But every day you choose comfort over growth, you trade a little of your potential for a fleeting sense of safety. The people who build extraordinary lives are not the ones who never feel fear or resistance. They are the ones who move forward anyway. This doesn't mean recklessly jumping into chaos. It means intentionally choosing the path that challenges you, knowing that's where the real rewards lie. The next time you feel the pull of your comfort zone, remember, your brain is doing its job. It's trying to keep you alive. But you are not just here to survive. You're here to expand, to create, to live fully. And that requires stepping into the unknown again and again until discomfort becomes your ally and growth becomes your natural state.